Hey, how's it going everyone? It's Gavin from Balls to You, and this is going to be part 2 of the Incubator build. So I hope you enjoyed part 1, which was the teardown, and I want to quickly go over a few things. A few people have pointed out, which I believe I did miss. It is illegal to cut and release the gas from those refrigerated units into the atmosphere, and again in the US as well, so please make sure they are degassed. In most cases you will find when you switch the unit on, the unit hasn't got no gas, that it will pressurize, so the minute you cut the pipe it will send out like a spurt of air, but that's all it is. Normally that gas is like white and you'll see it coming out, it's like a white smoke, but when it's just compressed air it will just be clear. So please don't worry if you do cut the pipes and there is just, there is air coming out, it's just compressed air, guys, don't panic. But please, if you're unsure, make sure you get it degassed. So this is going to be part 2. I'm going to cover the equipment we're going to use. With my old incubator, I was really reluctant to build a new one, but with the new one it is bigger, and also I wanted to show you guys the process of what I do to build it and make it my own. To me there's a satisfying there's something satisfying about building your own. It's the same when you build your own racks, you really get a sense of satisfaction from building your own racks. I know I did anyway. Building my own incubator, I'm able to make sure that the components I use as good as I can get, basically. With my old incubator I used a heat cable, so this time around I thought, well, let's use heat mats. Heat mats, if I use multiple heat mats, if one goes down I'll be able to tell incubator is going to be, as you can see it's directly behind me. The room is actually round about between 72 and 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Now obviously we are in winter and I like to keep it a little bit cooler for the breeding season, but ultimately my theory is that if I use the heat mats, like I said, if one goes down then I've got multiple ones. But before I did this video I actually linked up the heat mats, multiple heat mats, and I tested it, and what I found was the difference between using heat cable and heat mat was that the heat mats took ages to get up to temperature, which wasn't really a problem, but for me I didn't like it. I'm going to go back to using the heat cable system which I used before. If that heat cable is to falter, it's not going to be really an issue, because the stat that I'm going to use, which is a digital stat, which I'll show you, has got an alarm system on and because the incubator is in a heated room, if you like, I'm not going to worry too much. And if you remember, sort of this season or this year, I had a main electrical fault which knocked all the power out for about 2 days, and the eggs came through perfectly fine, so I'm not going to stress too much. But I'm going to show you guys directly behind me. If you haven't watched the first incubator teardown build, I'm going to put it up here somewhere. I believe it'll pop up somewhere now. Get over and watch that video and then come back and watch this one. So first things first, as you can see I've ran the heat cable in. Okay, so it's all there ready to go, and I'm going to show you how we're going to attach that, for the reasons why we're going to hang it and do what we're going to do. So I'm going to show you that in a moment. However, I'm going to show you the stat I'm going to use, and the stat I'm going to use is an iStat. Now iStat have gone bump. However, this was a custom made iStat. Okay, this was made for a incubator, so in other words the length of the wire is longer than a standard stat that you buy off the shelf, and also the stat has also got the actual temperature probe, has got a hydrometer reader in there, so again I can get that on there. The iStat I found to be not a bad stat whatsoever. However, like I said, unfortunately they did go out of business. I used this last season on my incubator. Last season I was using a Habistat Prime, it was really awkward to use. It was great. The digital stats really do dial in the temperature. A quarter through the season I changed and I put this on, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to be using this one again. I'm a little bit superstitious sometimes when it comes down to using tried and tested equipment. It worked for me. I had great success with the hatchlings that I hatched, so I want to use this. It's almost like, I don't know, wearing those lucky pants, It's sort of like, it was a great stat. I don't really want to change it, so I'm going to run with it. So that's the stat we're going to be using This stat you can change between an on-off, a pulse or a dimming. I will either use a pulse or a dimming depending on how I'm going to set it up. Pretty much whatever I had it on last season is going to how I'm going to run it this season. So the minute I plug this in, it should keep to what same settings I had last season, and I'll double check that and look over it. This stat can take up to 600 watts. That heat cable is about 250 watts. So this stat is more than ample to supply the power that's needed to get that up to temperature. Okay, so I haven't got to worry about how many mats I need. Most mats, you're probably around about 25 watts. You know, you're probably going to need 4 to 6 mats in an incubator of this size, and they just take so long to get up to temperature. So I'm going to use a heat cable. I'm not going to be worried. The only reason why I'm changing the incubator is because this incubator is bigger. I have got more projects on the go this season, so I need that room. Simple. So this one is going to be a bigger incubator. So those are the components. Like I said, those are the stats. So let's get on, let's attach the heat cable, and we'll talk through the process as we go. Okay guys, I'm back. So as you can see, I've actually laid the heat cable, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've done. Now what I've used these little gems, which are self-adhesive cable tie mounts. You can get these from all good hardware stores, including that one. No endorsements there from that company. Or you can get them off eBay. So what I've done, and I'm going to go through a few things. Again, the reason why I've used heat cable is because it does get up to temperature a lot quicker, and I do find that the stat isn't on as long, because obviously it's getting up to temperature and holding its temperature. With a heat cable, what's always advised is that you don't you sort of lay it spread out as possible. So what I've done, as you can see, or you can't because it's a bit dark, but I've used these cable tie mounts, and I've just stuck them on. Obviously I've cleaned the back before you stick them on, because otherwise if you stick them on they'll just fall off. So make sure it's nice and clean and grease free, and then just basically run them up and down like so. Run it down to the bottom, and I've layered the bottom so we've got the so basically it's sort of in a cross section, and what's going to happen is the fan is going to bring the air down. Obviously we know hot air rises, it's going to push it down, it's going to come to the bottom, and then it's going to hit the glass door and then go all the way back up. So that's going to be absolutely amazing for the heat and the temperatures to be even on the top and the bottom, and obviously in the middle, and it should basically be a degree out or half a degree, but I'll show you that when we're testing it. So what I've also done at the moment, as you can see, I've also put 2 shelves in. Now the first shelf, as you can see, is going to hold the water bottles, okay, and they are going to just go straight in there like so, and we'll probably get about, I don't know, about 4 or 5 across there. Let's try. Now what you can do to help the process, perfect. What you can do to help the process is fill those up with warm water, with hot water, while you're firing up the incubator. I'm not going to do that because the heat cable gets it up to temperature pretty quick. Now the reason why we put water bottles in the bottom is for 2 reasons. The main reason is going to be because it's going to act like a radiator. So when you open that door and all the hot air comes out, the minute you shut it, those water bottles are going to act like a radiator and keep the temperature, you know, as close to the desired temperature as possible. So the minute you shut the door, they're going to stay warm while the heat cable kicks in, and it's just going to help with that sort of added temperature. Now as you can see, we've got 2 shelves in there, okay, and again the water bottles do not sit on top of the heat cable, so the water bottles are on their own level. They're on the bottom level, as you can see. Some people do put the water bottles at the bottom. I would advise not to, because what we want is we want the airflow that's coming from the top fan blowing down the back, okay, because the exhaust, or the basically where the air gets blown out is exactly at the bottom, and it sucks in from the top part there. So it sucks in from there and blows out from down there, so it blows all the way down. So you want the airflow to not sort of get hit by anything. So as you can see, there's a gap down the back, okay, and the air will come into the bottom, it'll circulate the bottom, it'll hit the glass front and then come back up. That's exactly what we want. We don't want the air to not be able to get anywhere within the incubator. We want it to circulate, you know, all the way around the incubator, and obviously as well around the egg crates or around the egg boxes, which again we'll show you, or I'll show you on the next stage as we continue this build. But I hope this sort of helps so far, okay, getting that heat source right. You can put heat mats on the side if you want, or heat cable down the side, but I prefer at the back and at the bottom. I've tried it before, I've been doing it for years this way. It's never failed me this way. So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. There you go. On to the next stage, which is round the back, getting the actual stat mounted. As you can see, I've basically built a mount for that, and I'm going to mount that on top, which I'll show you guys. That'll be the next stage. Okay, what I've done, I've quickly mounted the stat. Now what confuses me when companies make these stats, they never think about mounting brackets and stuff like that. So if you're watching this, one of you guys who are in the, I don't know, the engineering department of a thermostat company, just put it to your management about maybe a mounting bracket for these types of stats. So let's have a quick look. So what I've done, I've mounted it there with 2 screws and a bracket basically, and obviously I've used a couple of cable ties to sort of keep it in place, because like I said, you want to see what's going on, but I also want to be able to adjust if need be. The wires are going to come around the back now, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get the probe in there, because basically I like the probe to be in the middle of the middle. Okay, so what I've done, I've drilled the top, I've come directly in through the top in the middle of the middle. As I said, I've come down, and what's going to happen is that probe is going to basically hang in the middle. Up either side here, you're going to have one row of boxes full of eggs, and this side will also be the same. So that'll basically hang in between the 2 rows, or the 2 columns of egg boxes. And it's always worked for me before now, is that will keep an even temperature. Okay, so we'll set the stat to around about 89-90 degrees, that point there, and that will obviously, you know, hopefully between the top and the bottom, that will stay at bang on 89 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's exactly all I've done. Bit of heat tape or insulation tape, some people call it, the silver foil tape there, and again on top. And again, we'll get this stat on, we'll get it all linked up now because it's pretty much there, and we'll have a look at the back. So the heating element will plug into the female part of the stat like so, and then you'll have the plug for the stat, which will obviously plug into your mains. I know this may seem common sense, but like I said, this is going to be an in-depth step-by-step instructions. We do have 2 plugs on this incubator, one which is this one for the light and the fan, and this one here for the heating element. I do keep them separate. The simple reason is if one fails, the other one won't, so it keeps going vice versa. You can wire them in together if you want, it's entirely up to you. You could also as well put a nice little power pack on the back here for those to plug into. Again, the choice is yours, but what we'll do, we'll plug these in now and we'll get this bad boy up and running, and let's see how it goes. So she's plugged in and she's on, she's up and running. Now as you can hear, the stat is beeping. The stat's beeping because it should be it's basically saying it's only it's saying that it's only at 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should be more. If you look, the humidity is at 68, and the power is ramped up to 100% because it needs to get this up to temperature. Okay, so I'm going to touch that, shut that up. Okay, so again, that's something else with the digital stats which work really well. So again, at a quick glance, I can have a look at there. So I really like the position of the stat where it is. And again, we're going to run this bad boy, get it up to temperature. I'll tell you what I will do. We'll get one of these trusty old little things, and we'll see how it goes. What I'll do, like I said, I'll put one there. And what I'll do, I'll get another shelf and I'll put it at the top, and I'll also do another temperature run. So what I'm looking for is for that temperature to start rising, which it is. As you can see, which is fantastic. Awesome. So you can see how fast the temperature is rising, which is something we want. We check the lights. Voila. Superb. So again, it's not that loud, which is also good. Very clean insulation, very easy. It'll probably take you a day, if that, from start to finish, depending on how capable you are to get it to this stage. And yeah, so I'll get this stat set up, which they're not the easiest, but let's have a quick look. So this is set at 91. Not sure if you can see. 91. Okay, we want to bring that down a bit. This is a pain in the arse, because what we have to do, we have to bring every one of those gauges, or they're like a dial, we have to bring it down. So we have to select that one, then we have to bring it down. 89, select, then across to the next. Sorry guys, so we have to go one by one, select, and bring it down. And this represents the hours, so obviously there's 24 of these. So if I want to raise it day to day, so you can see we're on 1, select that, go across, that's 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to select that, we're going to bring that down, unselect that. Now we're going to go across to 3 o'clock, select that. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, but I'm going to do this and we're going to come back and we're going to have a look at it. So I didn't bore you with all that, but I've basically set it to 89. As you can see, I had it set on pulse last time, so it will stay on pulse this time. And again, just touch that and let's go back out. So there we go. So straight away, according to this, it's up to 81, as you can see. 81.3, 82. So we're getting there. Okay, so we're actually on the right track, which is fantastic. It does say it is 11:30 at night, but it's not. It's 10:30, so I need to change that. But as you can see, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let it run up and switch that light off. So I'm going to let it run up, get it up to temperature. There we go. Get it up to temperature, and we'll check this bad boy back. Okay, it's been running now for a few hours, and as you can see in the bottom, it is kicking out at 89.2 Fahrenheit, and the top is a pleasant 88.8. So that's perfect. I mean, ultimately what we want is, we don't want it cooler at the bottom. We'd obviously, it is a little bit hotter, but like I said, there will be a degree difference between top and bottom. And the other thing we've got to take into consideration, that potential gauge may be out, and that's a factor you guys need to think about. And this is why when I say to you guys, you know, don't go off, you know, I've seen so many people put gauges and hydrometers in the tubs where the eggs are, and then they're reading the information off that gauge, and it's wrong and it's not right, and they panic, and all of a sudden they take the top off the tub and they start messing with the eggs. Don't mess with the eggs. Don't put a temperature gauge in. Do not put a hydrometer gauge. This is where you need to be checking your temperatures. Inside there, in there, needs to be 89 to 91, needs to be where you're at. Okay, in the summer obviously that will increase. It's going to happen, and the same in winter. You know, your stat, I mean my stat's now running at what, 10%. You know, in the winter it's going to work a little bit harder, in the summer it's not going to work so much. But don't worry about that increase and decrease. But what I will say to you is take those temperature gauges and those thermometers out of the egg box and just throw them away, because they will cause you to panic, open the egg box, start messing, and that's what will create problems. So just leave the egg boxes, and I will do a video on setting egg boxes up, because obviously it's not an incubator without egg boxes. So the next step will be, obviously I'm going to run this for a few days, and this is going to be the test, and we're going to see, because again, don't forget those water bottles have got to get up to temperature as well. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for basically virtually so that the stat, the power, reads sort of 5% power there or thereabouts. So we want the stat or the heating element on as little as possible, because again, oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So let's just see what happens there. So I've just opened the door. It's going to drop down a little bit. Now it's dropped down. Now look at the power on the bottom right hand corner. Now it's gone from 10 to 20. It's kicked it in, as you can see. It's working out okay. So again, you know, I've used it for years and years, this system. It works for a treat.